All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So, I don't know if you just watched my last video. I promise you, I'm not trying to pimp out my videos, but literally 20, 30 minutes ago, I just said I don't call things meme stocks. And at this very moment on this video right now, I'm going to call these meme stocks. And I apologize for the sad irony right there, all right? But we're going to look at a good handful of stocks. And honestly, I care less about these being meme stocks and more about the technical setups that we're seeing right now, all right? And when the markets do well, especially when they were coming off from doing so poorly, oh, great things happen. I gotta drink water. Give me a second. I gotta pause this. Sorry. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. Okay, so we're gonna look at MLGO. We're gonna look at Game. Okay, and we're gonna look at AMC. If I have time, I'll try to do a couple others. These all look like really good technical setups. And I often say, and I really don't say this actually for my algorithms in my videos, but I say it honestly because this chart readers team is a wild community. This was just mentioned. AMC, I have a screenshot of it. So 6 days ago, she asked to cover AMC, and she actually put another post that basically said, "Hey, there's a really nice setup." And look at what I said 5 days ago, and the lines right here. You break 304, and good things will happen. All right, as long as you don't lose 208, you can literally see all of that happening on the screen right now. Right, so to me, I'm telling you, I don't care about meme this or that. There are lovely technical things happening on Game that, again, were called out from the community not that long ago. Look at Game right here over all five moving averages. Nice positive MACD, green over red on both. I'll talk about this. I don't often draw lines down here. I normally draw them up there, and I even say them in the opening thought, in the introductions, right? But man, I don't remember the last time I covered Game, but yeah, you hit one of my money lines on volume. Honestly, that's actually as important as hitting one of those golden lines up here. Volume is king, right? Volume is queen for my ladies watching this, and oh man, volume's an important one, right? And MLGO, hey, again, I say it all the time. The Discord group is amazing. We've been talking about MLGO the last couple days. These are all the ones from today. Come on, there's a couple from yesterday right there. This was on the radar and it made a nice move. And honestly, I said it earlier today. This attempt over the 8 moving average, which is what I'm going to focus about in the technical shortly, this was substantially better than this one right here, than this one right here. And I mean, in a lot of ways, we're hoping that it can do something like this, right? But this stock is one that does very poorly, right? It does poorly when it's under the 8 and the 20, but when it can escape these two lines, and that's what it's trying to do right now, oh, some pretty big things can happen. And again, I just finished saying volume is king. When you're starting to get more volume than the day before, and when all the volume is starting to be at the white line, that average when it just never was, oh, that's a good recipe for a lot, right? So, again, I think when you call something a meme stock, it's hard to give it your hard earned money, right? Like, I'll be honest, I work hard for my money. I love my parents. They give me so much love, so much support and confidence. But yeah, I don't got a trust fund that's like, bringing in my payments and I don't have to do anything, right? I work hard for my money, and it's hard to give my hard earned money to something as silly as a meme stock, right? I think if you can take that away and start focusing on, good technicals and, volume setting up and interesting RSIs that were really low and are kind of trying to recover, and maybe some, nice little green over red similarity. Like there's things we can look at to make what is normally a silly stock a little more of an educated reason to take a leap, right? And why it was worth looking at it yesterday and so on today, right? So cool. Before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. I don't think I have any here, but I will draw some horizontal support and resistance lines manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Hey, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So let's get into these. And I don't really know if I'm going to chapter all three together or if I'm going to do these individually, but I think the one commonality across these, and I said it so many times, I'm not going to say it too much, but just in case you fast forwarded to this, I'm not here talking about meme stocks, talking about squeezes, none of that. I'm here talking about technical analysis, giving me a reason to put targets up here, right? I'm putting my hands up in the sky, but you can't see me, right? But targets up here, or worst cases down here, right? And to me, if you can give if you can just look at that more than the silliness of a meme stock, it becomes a little easier to pull the trigger and get into some of these, right? At least for me, I can honestly say that was a problem before, and hey, knock on wood, not anymore, right? But I'm really liking the technical setups across all three: MLGO, game, and AMC. And in a lot of ways, they are completely different setups, right? You can see AMC is not over all five moving averages, right? Game, on the other hand, already is over all five and has been over all five actually for a long time now, right? And then when you look at MLGO, this thing's actually been living under all of them, right? And today's the first day over the 8 moving average in a long time. So very different setups on all three. But again, they each are giving us technical reasons to say, all right, these are at least worth watching. And if they can do this or that, maybe it'll be worth going, right? So look, you hear me say it all the time, right? Red makes it a real easy green, right? And another thing you hear me talk about are channels, right? If it's, if I draw two horizontal lines, between here, those are fake, I'm not deleting right now, but between here and here is a channel, or between moving averages, right? Between the computer generated lines, that's a channel, right? So when you're gonna give me a sec, when you're gonna give me red on top of a nice channel that's just filled with red, oh, what am I going to do? But think to myself, hey, if we can start to get over these, it might start to be an easy go, right? I also mentioned in the opening thoughts that I liked this attempt over this 8 moving average more than the previous ones, right? Starting with this one, the red was over the green on the RSI. The red was over the green on the RSI, on the MACD as well, right? This one, right, and this is actually the you can even start with this one. Let's even look at the day yesterday, right? Yesterday at least did have RSI over, right? You can see green was over the red right there. Maybe not so much there. It's actually a little tight. Actually, look at it. MACD was just, it's negative, right? So the lower number is the better number here, right? So MACD was below it. You can see the red line was over the green line, but it was to the second decimal, right? So that's pretty good right there, right? So at the minimum, both weren't under the red over green, right? So it just started, like I said, that's a decent yesterday. And then obviously today we have that nice green over red on both, right? It's still negative, but hey, whatever. We're not over all the moving averages. We're not expecting big things, but little moves can actually be wild percentages here, right? So even compared to this one, you can see it was a worse red over green on those, right? So really this was, and I know I said it, I'm not going to go back to it, right? But I said it on the Discord, this was a better attempt, and that is what I meant by this one, right? So what are we looking at right now? Look, again, I just talked about it, and I'm zooming out here for a reason. That's a nice channel between here and there, and really the first horizontal line just based on the candles is kind of here. And really, yeah, I guess we can draw these. I think that's actually a really good one, knowing what the moving averages look like. Honestly, if I didn't see the moving averages the way they were, and again, I'll talk about that shortly, I would actually probably take it to here. I would probably take it to a little closer to 50% of this one. I'd probably take it there, but I actually did like it down here. Okay, so I'll draw this line, but again, before this, and I'm looking from all the way back to beginning of the year. We can even take it to this. I guess That's an interesting line right there. But that's basically going to be, yeah, like this view is fine. Basically, from the beginning of the year all the way through today, all I see is red, 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 gap up, right? Gap up, red, red. Like there's nothing below this line, and there's no place I can draw an educated line, right? Maybe someone would say that's a line worth drawing, but again, that's already basically the 20 moving average, so that's not even worth drawing, right? So at this point, my expectation really is, look, if this continues up, it's gonna come to 330. Maybe this 275 is going to be a little bit of a difficult line, and I think that's worth, putting that number in your back pocket. But yeah, if I had to guess, the 20 moving average is probably going to open around 314, 315, and I would use that, I think, as the first resistance. And again, you break that, all I basically see is for something until basically this is going to be the hardest point right here. And that's already, look, I don't want you to have $5 dreams on a $2 stock, but hey, even coming up to that 3 something, that's a wildly monster percentage on this thing, right? I think the one just extra caveat on MLGO is the volume. All right, look, I know they're random spikes, but this thing knows how to get these crazy, crazy, crazy volumes. All right, and you can see this spike here and this spike here. There was no reverse split during that. The reverse split happened here. So it's not like it was even for like a crazy RS pop. It just, this thing knows how to pop, right? And I'm seeing a nice little interest of volume. The volume's getting bigger. We're over some moving averages. That could be an easy reason to think more is going to come, right? Overall, I would say I'd be a little worried. Yeah, I think I would have to use 180. 180 is a little bit high. I mean, a little bit low from this 217. I can't really do the math that quick in my head, but I think that's about a 10% drop, give or take, maybe a little bit more than a 10% drop. But yeah, I think as long as this is over 280, MLGO would be good to go. Really, I love this thing over 241 in a lot of ways. As long as this thing can get over 220, it's probably going to start heading up to that 3, right? But yeah, you break that 245 range, I think that's going to be a nice little, average up potential, or maybe even an entry potential if you don't want to yet. But yeah, I think that's some good thoughts here, and I think because of that, I'll probably chapter these out separately. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's come take a look at game. And I know I mentioned game on the Discord this morning. 9 o'clock, yeah, that's right, right. And when we were looking at game, it was only a 6% move, and it was still basically fighting that 29 line right there, right? What happens? Boom, 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 boom. We start making moves, right? And I can see it. It is still trying a little bit after hours. Look, again, I don't really care about after hours. That's not my game here. I'm here hoping for sustainability, all right? And I mentioned it, I probably mentioned it on the MLGO, so just in case you fast forwarded this arguably has the best setup of all 3 of these tickers, right? MLGO, just in case you MLGO, dyslexic, my apologies. This is under, as of yesterday, this was under all 5 moving averages, and this is the first time it's over one in a while. We're going to get to AMC after, and hey, this one's trying to get over the 4th one. You can at least say it's over 3, and the 5th one's all the way up here, right? So it's going to maybe be a while. GameStop has been over all 5 since April. Right? There was a little bit of a slip here, right? But nonetheless, hey, this thing's been arguably better than the rest, because you know me, I love it when we're over moving averages way more than under any, right? So today we started to see some nice things. Look, I don't know if I really saw a reason why. I was focusing on tech stocks, I'll be real honest with you, but let me know if there's a reason I missed, okay? But the easy technical things to call out start down here, right? You hear me say this all the time. Volume is king, volume is queen for my ladies out there. When we wake up expecting, look in the box over there, an average of, when we're only expecting 12 million shares, and all of a sudden you break 20 million shares, almost doubling the expectation, volume does amazing things. And look, again, I know people call it like a meme squeeze and this and that. Just to me, it's a little more, it's a little easier to anticipate it when you have an actual number that you're looking for and it breaks that expectation, right? So there was a nice volume push here. That is just magnified when you've been over all the moving averages for so long. And look at this thing. Good candle over all five, no confirmation. Good candle, no confirmation. Good candle. All of those are dojis and little candles that don't really count. That's a decent candle, no confirmation. Like this thing's been over all five moving averages since April, yeah, but we haven't confirmed. This is an interesting single candle. Let's see if we can keep going on up. My next line is at 45 on this thing, right? There's probably an educated line to be drawn at 31, right? Basically 32 bucks. Honestly, I don't think I need to draw that, all right? But I could see that being an entry point if you're not in this one. Actually, let me set an alert there. What's that at? That's at 33. Maybe even the safer number is 33. But yeah, I wouldn't mind that 32, 32.17. I think that's a decent in between those two. An alert's not an immediate buy notification. It's a come check it out. I think more than anything at this point, what I'm expecting is, sorry, I zoomed in too much, is this. All right, I'm looking for 27 million shares, basically 28 million shares, all right? And that's some simple math right there, right? 7-hour day into 28 million shares, we need 4 million shares per hour. If we can be closer to 10 than 8 million shares in that second hour, oh man, GameStop can do some big things. And I think that's what would break that 32, 33 range we were just talking about and start pushing this thing towards that 45, right? Positive MACD, good healthy 68 RSI. There's some interesting things to like here. Even looking at the weekly, right? That's just a string of dojis trying to get over all five. That's a nice setup going into next week, especially seeing the MACD in the positive, healthy RSI, and what was just a real bad outlier of volume messing this thing up. This line is starting to come back to reality, and man, again, it kind of looks like if we can get that 28 million shares on the daily, that'll do some wild things for the volume on the weekly, right? So a lot of technicals to like here. Nothing I said had to do with meme squeeze this or that, right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's come take a look at AMC. Look, just like I gave love on MLGO, I got to give love on AMC. And it goes back, before I give her love, it's one of the first rules on the Discord, right? And it's a first rule for a reason. Where is it? This one, number 3. I am not the best person in this group. I have not been the best person in this group for a while, all right? There's a little crown on this thing, but right, like you get it, right? Like just because I'm not talking about a stock doesn't mean that someone else in the comments isn't a good, better, great trader, and it's worth looking at. And again, you're not here to agree with everyone. Everyone's just giving opinions. It's a beautiful thing, right? But 6 days ago, she put 2 comments in there. One was just basically saying, this one that I replied to, hey, please cover it. And the other one really was, hey, there's some good things happening. And look, if you go back 6 days ago, it was basically on this pop right here, right? It's getting over this little cluster of moving averages and trying to get to this one. It was the first good volume day. I see what caught her eye, right? And yeah, I was glad to hear from you. I hope you're watching this. But hey, the technicals basically say what we were looking for. You break this 304, it'll go to 316. Big wall at 316 with more to come after, right? We're just a little higher than that, right? And where was that 316? Yeah, you can see it right there. It's basically battling with that 320 right there. On the 1 minute is 316. Anything loud? Hey, kinda. Look at that right there. Look how long it... I swear I didn't look at this before, but look at that 316 battle. I like that. Again, I'm not here, but sometimes it helps seeing why I said something 5 days ago, and then, hey, let's even see if it happens again during the day. No, but there's a nice little pop right there. Okay, I'm done. But you get it, right? So AMC, look, I like what's going on here because, again, I love... You break the 8, you go to the 20. You break the 20, you go to the 50. You break the 50, you go to the 100. You break the 100, this blue line right here, you go to the 200. And my, that's all the way up here at a deep $33 something. That's a significant 20% move right there, because we are adding about 60 cents right there, right? So all I see, and I'm going to delete this line because, red, green, red, nothing for far too long, right? So this could be a real nice channel, and yeah, you break this line and all of a sudden you've got 5 behind it, right? So don't think 5 just yet, but there's a lot of reason to think that this is coming to 380. You know what I mean? And again, like I said, you're adding 60 cents to this. That's basically a 20% move, right? MACD is positive right there. A little high on the RSI at 80, but again, there's some decent things on this weekly as well that's kind of saying, hey, maybe next week will be the push right there, and this is actually echoing that 4, right? We just talked about 380, basically the same thing right there, right? So to me, I like that low weekly a little bit more than I'm worried about this high daily, I think, all right? The other thing is, again, this thing's basically been living at or struggling with the white line. That's kind of been the echo here. Today was a good day, and game has had one good day. We want a little bit more. MLGO has, MLGO, I did that again. Has only had kind of 2 good days over it, right? So AMC only having this one pop. Again, I want more, but that's also kind of been the theme across these 3 right here, right? So I think it's fair to say as long as we stay over 304, this is bullish. Really, I would love to not even go lower than 310. Let me just guess where this is going to open. Yeah, I think as long as this stays over 310, 305, this is bullish. If this can get over, for sure, 333, I think that's a good alert right there. Again, an alert's not an immediate buy notification. You break 333, I think 380 will probably come quickly after 380, which will be a big test. That's where we'll start thinking about 5s right there. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.